What is going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another episode of The Kingdom Says. I am your host, as always, and tonight I am joined by one of my two usual co-hosts, Mr. Kyle Henning. How are we doing tonight, Kyle?
Doing all right. It's today was a lengthy day during the real life, real world thing, but now we get to talk Chiefs ball with you, so that's fun. And the Hall of Fame game is either delayed or canceled now, or
Lightning in the area that delayed it,
something.
I
Yeah.
think. Yeah,
Why
I
are
think
we
they delayed it.
delaying? Why are we delaying
Yeah,
a
but
crap game?
hey,
Anyway,
listen, even though it's delayed, NFL football is back. It is officially here. This is
on
the
your
first
television set.
actual TV football that we're seeing, and it's a great time. You know, we've already seen the new kickoff rule a lot in play this game, which is going to be a big topic the rest of the season, really. So yeah, it's good that the football is back. Obviously, Chiefs training camp is in full swing. We've got from the day of recording this, we have 9 days until the Chiefs' first preseason game, so that's exciting. It's just around the corner now. You know, the preseason is going to be here before you know it, and then all of a sudden, it's going to be week one. So it's finally that time of year for football to be. It's real. You know, it's just the realest that it's going to get is
Yep.
real football being played.
And this is the second year now, but there are only 3 preseason games. So
Yep. Yeah. So it's a little bit different than how it has been in the past, but that's because there's an extra game, and then there's probably eventually going to be an 18th game, and there's only going to be 2 preseason games. It's only inevitable. But yeah, Chiefs training camp has been awesome, continuing to be very entertaining for just everybody involved. I think there's the hype is growing further and further every single day with this team, and all the potential that this team has. I mean, it's just so many young guys out there performing. We've seen some crazy play calling already, just a little sprinkle of what we'll end up seeing in the regular season. But Andy's already given little bags of or little pieces for the
was
media
it
to.
a 4-pass play? Is that
Yeah,
what it was?
the triple reverse pass to.
I don't think it was
It's gonna
reversed.
be
I think
worthy.
he threw it to Tony, then Tony threw it to Mahomes, then Mahomes threw it back to Tony,
Dude,
and
yeah,
then Tony
that's
threw it to Worthy.
yeah.
They threw the
So
ball
that's
4 times on one play.
yeah. So they're they're back on their usual stuff that the Chiefs are up to, and
Everybody's like, why do they do that? If you're any of the other 31 teams,
you're
you
watching that video
have
and
to prepare for that because they
soiling your
showed
pants
it
after
to
that
you.
one. Exactly.
Well, they
Now they
showed
put
it
it
to
on
you.
tape. You know, we know Andy Reid loves just putting stuff on tape. You know, he'll run the most random play in the fourth quarter up by like 15, and it's just a little thing, and all of a sudden, you know, Kadarius Toney gets a handoff from a jet sweep or whatnot, and it's like, hey, they might do that again. You know, now you got to watch for it. So we're seeing that in full effect in St. Joe's. A lot of fun prospects here to talk about. So we're going to break down a little bit more of just training camp talk in general. I think offense is going to be a big topic of today's conversation because there's a lot of offense going on. You know, the defense will have its time to shine.
It's also
But
missing some pieces right now.
also missing some pretty key pieces. You're right, and that segues pretty well into the injury portion of camp where we're at right now. Couple new additions. Nick Bolton ended up going down, I believe, yesterday. I guess wasn't out there for Thursday's practice, which is today, with a elbow injury. Andy Reid didn't sound too concerned about it.
No, it's the same elbow as he hurt last year. However,
Yeah.
they didn't. All reports, Verderam, everybody else, nobody else seems worried for all the Andy stuff. Nobody it's not. Nobody really thinks it's a long-term thing. So, and also, I mean, he kind of played with it last year, if it is a thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things. You see guys returning from injuries, and they're just not fully. Sometimes you get a little nicked up, or you overextend something a little bit, and you just gotta rest it a little bit. You're better to be overly cautious, especially the guy with Nick Bolton. You don't need to see much more out of him training camp. You know what he's going to do. He's going to go out there and run that defense no matter what. So he'll be good. But yeah, so we got that. A couple other guys. Najee Johnson's obviously still been out. Jalen Watson is still out, but he's close to returning. So that's good to hear. Kadarius Toney has a little bit of a thing once again. You know how it is. St. Joe's a little hot outside. Gets it might have been a little bit of a pull or a strain or a cramp or whatnot. But so there's that. Justin Reed just recently on Twitter came out and said that he's probably going to be coming back soon. He's been out with a quad injury. a non-football injury, quad injury, which was interesting to hear about. Who else? Who else am I missing here on the injury report? Yeah, that's
Godric, Tony, Dion Bush.
Deion Bush was the other one. Yeah, I forgot. Deion Bush went down. What was his injury?
I didn't even see it fully. I'm still not 100% sure what
Yeah,
it
so a
was. It was
couple,
yesterday.
right.
So
So a couple of little injuries. Doesn't seem anything super serious right now at the moment. The big ones being Nick Bolton, Kadarius Toney, and Deion Bush, I suppose.
Nazi not getting to be able to try to
Yeah,
continue.
they're still need to work Nazi back.
And
Joe Tooney is also very close to coming back. He was activated off the PUP list, so he'll be probably returning to the starting offense very soon here. They don't want to
Charles
obviously rush
Omenihu was
him.
out walking around watching practice with a sleeve on
Yeah,
his
so
leg.
by all accounts, seems like it's normal wear and tear that you're bound to see during camps like these, but nothing crazy.
This camp is this is not a team that, yes, camp is important. They do a lot of their structural building for the season, a lot of things in camp. However, there's a lot of veteran guys that have been around this team
Yeah,
now
a lot of
a
returning
while.
faces.
Even the young guys, most of them are not brand new. There's obviously the rookie class from this year, but that's probably better that some of the older guys are not necessarily practicing doing the training
Yeah,
camp stuff right now.
you're right.
Now, do
The
you
new
want to see
faces
it
are
all the
getting
time? No, but as we
put back.
ramp up, I think some of those guys will be more inclined to be on the field. I think some of these banged up injuries. First of all, yesterday was the first really ridiculously hot day in St. Joe for
It's
them.
not one out there.
Today also sucked, in case anybody wasn't outside in the Midwest, in the middle part of the country today. Yet 95 felt like 105 all day because it rained
Hmm.
early this morning last night. So yeah, great times.
It's actually about the temperature I was here in Arizona, which is kind of funny.
Just without all the humidity.
It was a little humid. It was actually kind of overcast today.
Oh,
There's a lot of
you get a
clouds.
little. There you
I
go.
was like, I was like, man, it feels nice outside. It was like 95,
Cloud
really
cover.
humid. Yeah, but
So
so yeah, like you said, the big part is that as much as you don't want to see these veteran guys missing that time, there a lot of these pieces are already kind of established. There's not many new faces that the new faces are getting their appropriate work in. The guys that they're really looking to see, who are kind of either the new rookies or just guys who are fighting for roster spots, they're all pretty well off. So that's a good segue into one of the big new faces that we've seen. Big is a very literal word for this man, Mr. Kingsley Suamataia, who was early on rotating in camp with Wanye Morris at that left tackle one position. Since the past couple days, basically, it's been a one-man race. It's been Kingsley at left tackle one with the first team exclusively. They're not even rotating him anymore. It's basically seems by all accounts it's probably his job. It seems like he's probably won the job, which was kind of the expectation we had for. The entire time. As soon as they drafted him, that was kind of the expectation that he'd be the franchise left tackle of the future. We didn't know maybe Wanye you come in camp and he really impresses, and it makes Kingsley's not quite up to speed yet, so you start him. But the goal all along, I think, and what most people expected was Kingsley was kind of the last starting caliber rookie that you were going to get at left tackle. And as long as he wasn't far and away below Wanye, it was probably always going to be his job. But seems like it's pretty much wrapped up now.
His ceiling is high, so much higher than Wanye's, and I know it's nothing against Wanye. Kingsley is a monstrous human and moves incredibly well for how big he is.
Yeah, they got a quick screen to to Xavier Worthy, and the highlight really was Mr. Kingsley Suamataia just
25 yards downfield
sprinting. I mean, this a colossal, like a literal train just coming down the tracks.
Well,
and
with
Brian Cook, I think, had to be on the other end of that, which is
with
tough.
the new rules, they can't cut him. No DB is going to be able to go into his legs.
So
and I say new rules. It's been the last couple of years, but basically they can't be. Used to be if the dude that size was coming at you like that, you just dove at his legs.
Yep.
And that's
Yeah.
not a thing anymore. So it's same for them though. They can't do it. They can't dive at guys when
Yeah.
they're when the guy's too quick for them. So it's a catch-22. But with Kingsley, he's so fluid. It's not even that he's fast or anything. It's the how it looks easy when he's
Yeah.
moving.
I mean, it's hard to move a big body around like he does, and
And
he makes it seem like it's not that big, you know?
so that's a huge factor in that position battle, in my opinion, because of Andy's offense and the way that they try to use those linemen. He loves the athletic big. Like everybody used to bang on Eric Fisher a lot, but that's one of the things he did best was his
Yeah.
ability to get and move in space and be athletic and do that. Well,
That's what
Kingsley
Andy
can
likes in
do
his
all
tackles. I
that.
mean,
And
that's a big thing for Andy Reid tackles, you know. And
yeah,
Orlando Brown, they kind of they made it work. You know, they got
that
they
was
got
that was
you
a
know,
band-aid.
yeah, they
And I
made
think
it. You know, he did a decent job adapting to that type of offense. But the goal all along was to find someone like Kingsley, who is just that athletic freak that you can really train the techniques with and the finesse with. But ultimately, you're falling back on a really talented individual.
and cost controlled
Yeah,
because
that's
if you
huge.
haven't been paying attention to the news,
Yeah,
Tristan Wirfs just got paid 28.2 million a year roughly because I the deal was like 5 for 141. Now, obviously guarantees count more than that goofy agent numbers, but at the same time like that's a huge contract.
yeah. Jawan Taylor was pretty cheap
For reference,
compared to
Jawan
that. Yeah.
Taylor is roughly $10 million cheaper than
Yeah,
that.
deal's looking pretty good for KC, even though at the time it was like the top free agent deal. So
And
hey,
again, another
market
instance
moves quick.
of Brett Veach being ahead of where everything is going, not behind. Because
Yeah,
remember, he's the guy that paid Joe Tooney, the guard, the biggest guard contract ever, and now that contract looks
yeah.
comfy.
He was that was the tip of the iceberg to what the guard contracts are going to become. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, the Patrick Mahomes contract has enough. That's enough said right there. You know, he's not even in the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks, but he's
Except
not underpaid.
he is if
He
you look
is
at his
per year
renegotiated
per
cash
the
flow
one
deal that he just
on the
did.
1 year basis. But the thing about that, you got to expand it out overall, way more, way more. But yeah,
Sure. But also when he redid the deal last year for them and they did
yeah,
the cash flow increase, it
right.
was 4
Signing
for
bonus, you know,
218.
yeah,
So if
just
you really,
prorate that whole thing. Yeah, just put it all up front. Here you
yeah.
go. Bada
So
bing, bada boom.
with all that said, it's like I said, he's ahead again, and that's how you stay at in a level that they are continually at, keeping the window open over and over and over. Look at Buffalo. That window looks a lot smaller now, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Uh, and it's not just Buffalo. There's a lot of other teams that, usually in the NFL, you only get a couple years of a window because you got to draft well, and you got to
yep,
make the right decisions with contracts, and you got to make the right decisions in
yep,
free agency, and there's a lot to it. So with them being ahead and doing those kind of things in that space, especially along the line, it's it's a huge advantage if you can get your left tackle to be on a rookie deal for several years now. And if he's your day one starter because he's taken the job, that's as good a news as you can get.
yeah. That's ideal situation. So definitely, we'll be excited to see some preseason reps from him.
Yeah.
See what he
I
can
want to
do
see
versus
another
live
team
comp. Yeah,
at him.
exactly. Uh, so yeah, that'll be good. Transitioning on to some more of the offense talk. Another big time rookie. Obviously, we've talked quite a lot about Xavier Worthy,
Hmm.
who he's had a pretty good camp so far.
Yeah.
Uh, Pretty good camp. He had a clip go viral, tweeted out by a salty something another fan. You know, one of them salty fan. Maybe that might have been a Bills fan, Bengals fan, something like that. Of a a play where he gets jammed, he gets hit off his route a little bit, and then kind of gets pushed over, and then the linebacker kind of hits him and knocks him down again, and it
Yeah,
was a
the clip got posted by the Chiefs, one of the Chiefs people, that media people that was at the at camp, and then it took off
yeah,
because people wanted to try to spin a narrative because that's what we do on social media now, spin narratives.
that's been the narratives.
Um, So let's briefly touch on that. The first thing I saw when I saw it was it's Joshua Williams and Xavier Ware he's a rookie, and B, the context and scenario of that play matter a lot in that situation because they're not playing press man coverage. He's just playing press coverage. And so if he doesn't have to concern himself with covering Xavier after the contact, it's a lot
Right.
easier to make that contact.
Exactly.
Also, Xavier made a mistake on that play.
Yeah,
He
that happens.
he
It's a
jab
learning
stepped
experience.
and he put himself right in Josh's hands when he did.
Yeah.
Now, go read Seth's article because he breaks it down. But this was all stuff that popped off the screen to me the first 2 or 3 times I watched it,
Right.
and then reading Seth's article was like, okay, I'm not insane. That's fun. So
Exactly. A couple
I
other things about it too. It's also been what 4 weeks of camp
well,
so far, basically
yeah,
3-4 weeks,
it
and it's
it's
taken
been
that long to get one clip of
and
this.
5 days of pads at least.
Yeah.
So
So it's been how long? It's taken that long to get something
and
like
it's gonna
this
happen,
exactly.
guys. Sometimes you get got. But
and
here's the
and
deal.
my immediate response to it is as well, and I mentioned this in our group chat. There's a certain top three, not three, not two, even I'd say, wide receiver in this league currently, by the name of Tyreek Hill, who suffered a very similar fate in the playoff game by the hands of L'Jarius Sneed. Like that just happens sometimes. You're a small receiver, sometimes you get
And
got.
Tyreek's more solid, more thick than
Exactly. I
Worthy
agree
is,
with that.
and
And
still
Snead
got it done
manhandled
to
him.
him.
Yeah. So I mean,
So
and that's just one play. It's that'll happen.
here's the other
Also,
part.
yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead. I bet you're
uh,
gonna say what I was gonna say. So
we might
go
have.
ahead.
Yeah. The other thing, that I think a lot of people kind of mentioned is Andy Reid. He ain't gonna let that happen to him. I mean,
There it
come on.
is.
Yeah,
That's
we're on the same.
we were headed down the
Say
same
like,
pathway.
and we already saw multiple other clips kind of come out after that, putting them in trips formation, putting them in a bunch, putting them just off the line a bit. It's just there's Andy Reid knows, and he knows how to use his receivers well, and obviously he'll put Xavier in the best of spots. Also, I heard it kind of mentioned that the real actual like the actual percent of like real press man coverage that happens in the NFL, where it's something like that clip, where it's just like an isolated one-on-one thing, like basically never really happens. This like that's not a real like the especially on an
No.
offense like this, where it's like if you're banking on that huge boomer bust of the press, like it only takes a couple of times for him to burn you. Like the Chiefs, you're not doing that kind of stuff versus the Chiefs. Every single corner is playing 5 to 10 yards off the ball versus these receivers, no matter what, probably. I mean, very, very rarely are they going to be pressing people like that in this offense. So,
And it's not, and again, that clip and in that play, that wasn't even man. It was just a press coverage, and I
yeah,
think it was.
exactly.
I thought off rip it was a press coverage that led into a zone/zone match type of scheme.
Yeah.
Seth talks again about it a lot more in his article, and he's had a lot more time to break it down than I have. I've been a little busy with the day job. But that said, Andy isn't. And you talked about not putting them in the way. The trips and that stuff is all fine, but also just putting him in the slot necessarily. Sometimes they don't always have to line up on the line of scrimmage. They can get a
Right.
little leeway.
Exactly.
So there are a lot motion. He's going to go
Motion.
in motion.
Yeah, he's going to be motioning.
So
Oh, yeah, he's going to be motioning.
and with the other problem that you have is if you try to press him and Hollywood Brown and Travis Kelsey and some of these other guys are on the field, one, if you try to press him and the tight end's too close, you might get laid out. Two,
Travels find you.
if you try to press him and you do press him and you're pressing the other guys, most of the time, at least one of those dudes is going to win. So
Yeah.
there's
It's not the best long-term strategy. You might get one good jam on him.
Was the clip pretty? Did Josh Williams do a great job? Did he take
It was a
advantage of
pretty
punish the rookie?
from an
Yeah.
outside purview. It's kind of an entertaining clip. Can't lie. I mean, it's just it's like
Well,
it's like a welcome to the NFL moment for the rookie.
yeah.
It's like, hey, by the way, this is the big leagues. These guys are big. You can't let them get a hand on you because they will do that to you.
And the defense gets paid too. And this was
Yeah.
like one of the best defenses in the league last year. And Joshua
Yeah.
Williams was a
That's
big
another
part of that.
thing.
So
That's another thing I think people kind of forget on both sides of the spectrum. It's like not only like, yeah, this is one of the best offenses in the league, no doubt, but like the Chiefs defense is literally a top 3 defense in the league. Like if our guys are struggling versus them, like, that's not bad, you know. Like we're very rarely going to find a corner like Joshua Williams starts as corner number 1 probably on at least like 10, 15 teams. So it's like it's one of these things where we are playing against very elite competition here in Kansas City. So it's just, you know, it's the old thing. Iron sharpens iron. You know, you can only get better by playing against the best.
One play.
And it's one play, right? And we haven't seen any more of that happen from Xavier. So it's just, you know, welcome to the NFL, Rook. You're gonna get that. You're gonna get some of that sometimes.
So let's talk about the other part of Xavier, which is all of the other stuff that he's been doing at camp and has been everywhere. You were on the hype train immediately. You've been banging the drum for a while. Yep. They are attacking down the field, even in training camp, more than we saw them do last year.
Oh yeah, they are really, really opening that part of the playbook back up. They are not afraid. They are not afraid even a little bit nowadays. Yeah.
So with that said, he makes this offense, the addition of him obviously and Hollywood Brown drastically alters this offense again.
Drastically. Yeah.
With Kingsley stepping in at left tackle, which is the way it looks right now.
Yep.
Which is a good thing.
Very good.
And with the other additions, this offense gives you a different animal than it has since Tyreek left, really.
Oh yeah.
They've been doing it, and it's been good enough because Patrick is great.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, and Travis is really, really unmatched, and the rest of them, and Juju was good, and then we got Rasheed help, so there's been at least a guy contributing, but it's been since 2018, 2019 since Patrick's looked around and went, I got weapons everywhere, all over the place,
like really loaded, like top to bottom. It's definitely. You know, there's a very easy way to say like this very much could be the best offense, not in the Mahomes era in Chiefs history. Obviously, it's
Mahomes, because the other one was
Mahomes'
offenses.
Yeah, exactly. So it's 2018 is the bar to set or the bar to clear, I think. And obviously, you know, 2018 it was the numbers were inflated because Patrick had to throw 5 touchdowns a game.
Defense couldn't stop a nosebleed.
So statistically, he might not ever get back to that point. Maybe. I mean, maybe they just absolutely, you know, dog race everybody, boat race people, and you know. But you know, just the top end explosivity is one, like you said, haven't seen it since Tyreek. When they signed Juju and MVS in 2022, it was good enough. You know, they made it work, and they had to adapt to be a different offense still.
And then last year they had to redo the whole offense.
Yeah, and then last year they really had to adapt and just whoever can catch the ball, please just catch the ball. That's all you got to do.
So here's the thing: they've now added enough variety and variance with the tight end room, with the additions in the receiver room. They've got a full complement. And I bring up the tight end room because it's the first time in a while where you're not piecing together a second string tight end with multiple dudes. Noah Gray has developed into a full-on second string tight end if you need him. He can do everything, even though he may not be the biggest. But the addition of Jared Wiley, who I have talked about now for a while, he brings another element that you really haven't had outside of Travis. And that allows, I think, some extension into Travis's career, but it also allows an extension into Andy's playbook and allows them to do some different things that we haven't really seen, because everybody kind of forgets that Andy loves the big personnel, and he's really been trying to get back to being able to use it more often.
We haven't been able to, you know. We saw a glimpse of it the past, like in 2022, we saw some good glimpses of it, and then Jody Fortson got injured. You know, Blake Bell kind of took a step back. Noah Gray was fine. Hurt. Yeah, and got hurt. You're right. And so we didn't see it as much last year. It's just because he just did not have the personnel for it, really. Like, it just wasn't as deep. So now you have, like, Noah Gray, who, like you said, very serviceable tight end too. And then Jared Wiley, who, like, the upside is phenomenal. And in passing, like, if you're using him in passing situations, like, that's ideal. You know, even, I mean, running, that'd be good. But the overall receiving threat of him is a very high one. Definitely a much higher ceiling than we've seen, and that tight end 3. So that's
And tight end 4 is a guy who's I know not had a ton of catches in his career, but is proven to be fully competent as a tight end in this league.
Exactly. Irv Smith, who also has been getting some looks at fullback, which that's another way to make the roster potentially if you have the versatility of line up at fullback. So
So all of those things rolled into one. I think you're accurate. The floor of this team is probably higher than it's been since 2019, 2020.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And I think the ceiling's pretty close.
Yeah, it's all about how much they want to do. I mean, we've seen plenty of times where the Chiefs get up a good lead and then they kind of lay off the gas. It's kind of been a little bit of an Andy Reid special.
I can assure you of 2 weeks that won't happen in, but
well, yeah. It's sometimes they ain't gonna take the foot off, but it's about how much they. I mean, with all the mouths to feed and with the potential, it's like, hey, we're not gonna stop just because we got 3-4 touchdowns. It's let's keep going. That's what the test is.
Also, I think it's not gonna get talked about much because Mahomes, but Carson Wentz is a legitimate quarterback still.
Yeah.
And I love Matt Moore. I love Chad Henne. All that's great.
Henne's a dog. Yeah.
All that's great.
Carson
Wentz is the most talented backup quarterback they've had since Patrick has been the starter.
Yeah, he's been slinging the rock. And that's what you do when you're looking for the three-peat. Like, worst case break glass situation, you have him playing for you, obviously. But it's like, if that happens, you have a way higher ceiling at backup quarterback than you have before,
Because now you have stuff around him. Like last year, we would have been in deep trouble with no Patrick.
Yeah, exactly.
Deep. And you're always going to be not nearly as good when Patrick isn't on the field.
Right. You're already.
The drop off is not quite as significant, I don't think. And I don't think it changes and limits the offense as much as some of the other backups have. Especially last year's backup, who.
Yeah, shout out Blaine. He's a Super Bowl champion, but nah,
awesome. I'm glad. Thank you for your year, and
thank you for not having to play very much. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's funny because they went after Carson last year, and he decided to go to the Rams instead. And then this year, he was like, "No, I'm coming." So it's just we don't want to sound like, oh, we're just hype. Like, there's a legitimate chance that this offense is as potent as it's ever been.
I think so. I'm really excited to see it. Like I said, preseason coming up, we'll see a little bit of glimpse of it. We'll probably see Carson Wentz having a lot,
I would assume.
Yeah, probably a lot. Probably mostly Carson Wentz. Now I think about it, actually, are you going to see Pat? Probably not. Probably not much Pat.
Not in the first one, I wouldn't assume. It may be a drive.
They usually give him one drive in like the third preseason game, and that's it. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see if we see any Pat. Probably gonna be a lot of Carson and Crystal Lodekin, Ian Book. Shout out Notre Dame legend, Ian Book.
Don't do that.
You went to Notre Dame, Kyle. Come on.
Legend is the problem there.
We gotta make sure everybody remembers.
Legend is the problem in that sense.
And Notre Dame legend. What's wrong?
As a Notre Dame fan, I would, no offense to Ian, but that was it. It wasn't my favorite time period in the history of Notre Dame football. I'm interested to see what they look like with this year's quarterback at Notre Dame. I will tell you that.
This year.
Yeah. They got a transfer. A big transfer.
Wow.
So
I haven't played college football 25, so I unfortunately don't know. Yeah.
Oh, I know. You'll realize who I'm talking about when you look it up. We're not gonna get into it tonight, but
not Jackson Dart though. I'll tell you, it's not Jackson Dart.
You're playing in the Big Ten, bud. Good luck with that. It's not the Pac anymore, friend.
Jackson Dart plays at Ole Miss. Yeah,
I know, and he's not there anymore. He's not even at USC. So,
but yeah, but I guess for my dog. Okay, so.
So to kind of sum up the offensive portion of this lengthy conversation, the ability to have a lot of these guys have already experienced this offense and some of its different iterations. McCall Hardman is back in camp again. Expect to see him. Justin Watson will probably be on this.
Yeah.
So It'll be interesting to see the number of receivers that they keep and how
Yeah.
not just the receivers. It'll be interesting to see the skill position layout that they go with, because they've got options like they
Got a
haven't
lot
had in
of
a
yeah.
while of how they want to go about organizing their 53-man roster and the game day rosters.
Right, and the
So
practice squad and all the practice squad rules and the elevations and stuff really helps them in this situation. They're probably going to be one of the richest teams as far as that kind of goes, because the way that's set up, and practice squads, some guys will probably see some familiar faces on the practice squad who will end up, they have like 2 game day elevations. Is it 2 a season that they can use per player, or is it like
I
can a
thought it
player
was
have
more
more?
than that. I think it was
I
3 or
want to say I
4, but
forget exactly, and I think it resets also for the playoffs, which is what Mike
yeah.
Pennell was doing last year. But yeah, that's gonna be pretty big for getting some of these fringe guys. Some, maybe like the Deneric Prince or like a Nico Remigio, who
I
you
think
just
Daenerys
kind of
on the
have
team.
to. I don't know. I'm just saying with the potential, you might have to stash
They'll
them
have a
on.
third running back other than him. So
Well, they got the British fella.
they have Lewis, and they have
Yeah,
he's
and they
still
got
gonna need some.
Kadarius Toney as a halfback.
Lewis's best and really only option to make this roster is special teams.
Well, yeah, but
Just
he's
from
a
watching camp, and I
yeah, he's
was
a break
big
glass
on
situation at running back.
I
Once
was
again,
big on hoping that he would show some stuff with the pads on. He's the one that, yes, he's got stuff to learn. But I'm
yeah,
glad you mentioned him, because something that's extremely important on this offense is the development of the leaders in the locker room,
mm,
because Travis is getting older,
yeah.
and there's not unlimited miles left on those tires. So
No, no,
with that
no.
happening, Patrick's going to need more than just Patrick in that locker room. He's going to have other guys to help out with. And what you watched, if you haven't seen it yet, there's a clip of Pacheco working and talking with Lewis about how to get better. And he's talking about, I need to get better at it too. I'm having trouble with this. We need to drop our hips instead of, and that kind of stuff from a guy who's only been in the league a couple of years,
Yeah,
taking that initiative, taking that step, understanding that it's his room, that's his room, that's his backfield,
yeah,
and him working on helping the other guys is such a statement and testament to the culture, the locker room, the team, those players, the way they do business, the way they handle themselves. They all have fun, they enjoy themselves, but it's all business when it comes down to it.
exactly. Yeah, I think they got a lot of options in the backfield. And the only reason why I think Deneric doesn't make it is because they have the elevations with they can use it for him, Keontae Ingram, and Monty Bailey. A
Well, and
couple
I
of those
think
guys you can
that's
elevate for temporary things, and maybe they elevate them permanently, throughout the year. But I'm just saying initial. There's so many numbers. There's so many names that it's
yeah.
just gonna be
Like I
hard.
said,
It's gonna be really hard.
that whole how they allocate the number of players that they keep on the offense will be very interesting.
Yeah. Um, Maybe who knows? Even maybe LRZ just makes the practice squad. Maybe just put him on the practice squad. Just say
Yeah,
you're not
I
going
don't
to go and sign anywhere else anyways. So it's like, hey, just chill here for a little while. Don't worry about it.
sure.
Who knows?
And
Who knows?
so
We're going to see. I think it will be very evident preseason who ends up getting a lot of reps, who ends up getting a lot of uh, plays and targets and carries and whatnot, and that'll really give you a good indicator of who they're really trying to see more from, or who they think that they've seen enough and they're good to go. So.
and so that kind of wraps our offense. I want
Yep.
to kind of briefly, and it's going to be brief because
Yeah.
a lot of the defense is set, guys.
Pretty set. The defense seems like it's pretty set.
The
Couple
defensive
couple
line
spots.
is pretty much done. Like you go look through the top 8 or 9 defensive linemen, and you're like, yep, nope, those
There's
are the
pretty
dudes.
much there's pretty much 8 locked in. You can maybe make a case for like a ninth
Yeah,
potentially. Who knows?
it's like those are the guys.
Yeah.
You've got them. You've got Chris Jones, Mike Pennell. You've got George and Mike Dana.
Yep.
You've got Turk,
Felix,
Felix.
Kirk. Yep.
I think Derek Notty's
Derek Notty. Yep.
still
He's
there,
still there. Charles Omenihu, who will
and
be
Charles, who will be
then put on
another
the pup
guy.
list.
Maybe, unless Charles is a superhuman, which I refuse to try to say that I'm downing him because he doesn't like that, and we're not downing him. He might be back for whenever,
Yep.
as fast as
Yep.
possible. I wish
Yeah.
him all the speediest. But
Exactly.
there's a really locked in group, and I even think after with Omenihu, I still think Malik Herring probably makes this roster pretty comfortably, and I don't think you've really seen any other changes. Like, there's not a whole lot of mystery about that D line. The
Yeah.
mystery is, are guys going to continue to take next steps?
Right. Yeah. But the D line's pretty set. Maybe like Fabian Levitt sneaks in there as a ninth defensive
Okay, great.
lineman, but nothing. Yeah.
And so, and your linebacking group is Holton,
Pretty set. Still.
Tranquil,
Yeah.
Chanel.
Yep.
That's done. And then you got a couple of guys that are
Yeah. You
pretty
got
consistently.
3 guys that you could probably rotate in. You have, Cam Jones, Jack Cochran have been 2 guys who've been there last year. Cole Christensen is still there. Curtis Jacobs, the undrafted free agent, was getting a lot of love early. He
That
might
dude's
be
the first guy down to the practice field every single day at training
yeah.
camp.
So they
Every
have
day.
some options. They probably keep 5 or 6 linebackers, depending on how many D line. But there's not really any surprises there necessarily. Those fringe linebackers are just special teams guys, really, mostly. So
And this is where I think the only portion of the linebacker room that is interesting to me is how many they decide to keep, because it's going to have a massive impact on what happens in that secondary room. And that's
yeah,
the most volatile, most amount. We were doing this, we were talking about this before the show, and I just happened to just pull up the roster real quick and just read through. And by the time I was done, I had like 9 names, and I probably had like 12 names, but
yeah, you can keep
it's
going
like
too. Yeah,
they've got so many guys. And this is what we were talking about earlier. I was talking about briefly with some of the veterans that are out, some of the guys that have been around that have been out of camp or banged up or injured that have not practiced a lot this week,
yeah,
giving opportunities. You've got an abundance of guys in that secondary. Just to rip this off so that people understand. Justin Reed, done. Brian Cook, done. Shamari Connor, done. Josh Williams, done. Jalen Watson, done. Trent McDuffie, done. That's 6. And that's 3 corners, 3 safeties, just right out the gate.
yep.
Dion Bush, banged up, but
But he's
consistent
on the roster.
veteran, probably your backup for Justin Reed. Shamari Connor, I already mentioned, I believe, in the first grouping, he's your third safety / slot guy.
/ slot corner / just absolute dog of a defensive back. Yeah.
Jaden Hicks is the guy we've talked about that was basically stolen, it seems like, in the 4th or 5th round this year, that just fell, and nobody Matt Miller and several other of the draft guys that I follow and we interact with are still absolutely dumbfounded by the fact that he was available there. I haven't mentioned Kelvin Joseph, who's been getting a ton of runs with the ones.
Yeah. That's
And
another one. Yeah.
Keith Taylor, who got a bunch of work, who's been getting work with the 2s pretty consistently.
Yep. That's 11.
Nazi Johnson.
He's been injured, but he's probably going to make the roster as long as he's good and healthy.
So now we're up to what, 12?
That makes 12. Yep.
Well, Kamal Hayden is still there and exists.
Kamal
That's a
Hadden,
rookie.
6th round pick.
Hayden. We'll have to look up that one.
I'm pretty sure it's Hadden.
And did you say that Nick Jones was the linebacker or Cam Jones was the linebacker?
I said Cam Jones was the linebacker.
Because Nick Jones is the corner, and
yep.
he was trying to make a name on special teams for himself also. So
yep.
they have, and I know we did this with the receivers where there was last year where it was like they have 7 receivers, and then turned out no, they didn't.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case with this secondary group, because
a
lot of these dudes
are 14 defensive backs.
A lot of these guys are proven commodities in a lot of instances. Kelvin Joseph was a 2nd round pick at one point, and boy, howdy, has he had a nice resurgent camp here.
Yeah, and that was just 14. There's a couple. Boydo, he was on the roster for multiple games last year. Christian Roland Wallace is a good undrafted free agent at USC. Fight on. But yeah, there's just so many. There's so many names.
When you just start rolling through that corner group in that safety room, it's
exactly.
Like,
in my first 53-man prediction, I had him keeping 11 total defensive backs. So that's 6 corners and 5 safeties. But we just listed like 16, 17 names. So it's like that's definitely the deepest unit in the Chiefs is just the defensive backs. And
so
couldn't be a better place to have them. With Dave Merritt, Steve Spagnuolo, Yeah.
They've got so many that this is something I've been thinking about for a little while now. Brett has traditionally traded to bring in corners and safeties from other teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've got so many of them. I would not be stunned if they tried to trade one, if somebody wanted one of those guys and they didn't feel that he may contribute immediately, even if they do think that he will down the road or something. And
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna give you a name because I
I had
wouldn't
thought
even
about this a
hazard
little
a
bit.
guess.
I've
But
thought about this a little bit because there's a couple. We saw it happen with Rashad Fenton a couple
yeah,
years
there's
ago. That
some
was a name.
options there. They have a ton of
And a big
secondary
thing,
players.
a big thing that that obviously we're gonna remember very soon is that Trent McDuffie, Brian Cook, Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, Najee Johnson, all in the same draft class. So
Yes.
like, as great as they all are, unfortunately, you probably can't pay all 5 of them reasonable contracts. It's just, and unfortunately, it's probably going to be, and I'm not sure this year if they end up doing it, just solely because I feel like they're trying to load up as much as they can for the three-peat. But you never know at the trade deadline if someone's really stepping up and a young guy stepping up, and it might be like unfortunately
I
like a
could
Joan
see it in the
Watson or Josh
preseason.
Williams. Like,
I was more talking
no,
about preseason.
you think in preseason? Yeah,
I legitimately think there are a couple of guys on the back end of this safety or corner room that
yeah,
another team would probably start in some instances.
yeah, yeah.
And
Maybe a
if
Nick Jones,
they
maybe.
need starters, if somebody loses a corner or loses a safety, all of a sudden now Brett's like, well, I could use an extra pick or two because,
Yeah,
and so
yeah,
there's we haven't talked about it a bunch. I literally just sprung it on Garrett right now during this. We didn't.
yeah. You
This was
did.
not part of our pre-show talk.
You did.
But I legitimately think there's some options there for a potential move of a guy that may
Yeah,
happen in the wide receiver room too, because there's a few of them in
that's
there
true.
also. And not out. Sky Moore's had a pretty solid camp once the pads came on.
He's been having a
Um,
good camp. Yeah, been having a good.
McColl's not going anywhere, I don't think. But there
I
are
don't
some
think so.
younger guys running around, and people won't love it, but like Nico Remigio is making a name, making noise. That's great, but that also probably gets rid of the need for a guy like the punt
Montreal
receiver,
Washington.
Montel Washington,
Yeah, it'd
and
be very similar to like how they did Amir Smith Marset last year,
right.
where they
That's
flip him during
exactly
the
who popped
preseason for
into my
7th
head
round
when I
pick.
was thinking
Yeah,
about Montreal Washington. So
exactly. There's definitely a couple names. ISM had a little more NFL experience than Montreal did, but who knows? Maybe like Justin Ross, maybe that gets enough hype from somebody that they're like, maybe we can move him. Maybe
the
Kelvin
medical
Joseph
thing
on
will
the.
always scare people. Justin Ross. That's the
Yeah,
only
but
thing.
I'm thinking maybe Kelvin Joseph because he's had an impressive camp. Maybe it's like, hey, this guy it's already exceeded our expectations. He was just probably going to be a camp body, but like might as well just we already kind of had a plan at corner, so maybe flip
But
him.
if
He's a
it's
former
somebody
second
like
rounder.
that, you're gonna ask for more.
Well, yeah, but
So
we'll see. We'll see. Brett's very creative, and he's definitely not afraid to say no to a good deal. So yeah, that'll be interesting to watch. So obviously, defensive backs, that's going to be good thing to watch the rotations of during preseason, seeing what kind of packages they're using, what kind of alignments that Spags is sending them out there in. There's going to be a lot of shuffling that every guy has seemed to be kind of getting mixed in a little bit. They mix them inside and outside, give them some different looks. So
yeah,
should be interesting.
Shamari's development last year as the season progressed and everything.
Yeah, Jamari's going to be.
Really gave
Jamari's going to have a
them.
huge role. Yeah.
Well, and it's so important for him to develop that way because it gives them flexibility, which is what they love in that secondary. Right now, you've got several guys that can play all of the DB positions.
Yep.
All of them.
Yeah. Like inside and out. You're good. Nickel, dime.
Corner or safety, because a lot of these dudes were one in college and converted to another in
Exactly.
pro and have
Nazi,
been back and forth
Jamari.
and back and forth. Like there are it's an
Nick
abundance
Jones.
of riches in in the utility aspect of that secondary as well. And with all the multiplicity and what Spags does, it's important that they're also able to catch on and keep up with the playbook, and they've all
Yeah.
shown that they can. But Shamari's absolute development and basically playing every snap against Buffalo after the Mike Edwards injury and continuing that throughout the rest of the playoffs, and it gave them an option. And then, like we talked about, they got an abundance of riches because they got to take Jaden Hicks in like the 4th or 5th round. They're out
Yeah,
there
that's going to be a
scooping up
crazy steal. We
dudes.
might not realize that this year, but long term, that's going to be like a
When
crazy,
he's shown
crazy.
flashes already at camp where it's
Oh
like,
yeah, exactly. He just might not
whoa.
have the immediate opportunity on the field this year, but it's like
Yeah.
he's going to be a really good player. That the Chiefs, yeah, yeah,
Also,
it's
if
going to
you
be
guys
good.
didn't see it, Justin Reed tweeted like an hour before we started recording, soon and a clock.
Yep.
So
So hopefully we see him back out there soon. Probably will. So yeah, I think that. Would we miss anything? You think? We feel like we
I was just
covered
gonna
pretty much
ask you if
everything.
you had anything
Yeah.
extra, anything else. I think the development
Yeah.
that we kind of some of the stuff we kind of talked about with the guys to watch. Felix looks to have adjusted some of the things.
Yep. He's been getting better and better. Yep. Working with
His
Tomba has been good for him.
his get off of the ball at the snap, like we talked
Yeah.
about, literally looked like he was on a tape delay there for a little bit last year
Exactly.
at some points, and
Definitely much quicker to react to
it's
that stuff.
not as drastic this year. Right? That was noticeable to me. I was
Yeah.
like, oh hey, look, everybody got off the line. Oh, Felix.
That's just the mental side becoming a little more automatic for him.
And
Just a little more automatic.
and I think that was what was so interesting to me about reading. If you haven't, Matt Verderam was at camp today. He does his camp tour. He wrote about Shamari, and Shamari. There's a quote from Shamari in there talking about how much farther he is ahead this year from the mental aspect,
Yeah.
and that's so
That's big.
important.
That's big.
And because with another guy like Justin Reed who fully understands the defense and whatnot, they can help each other, help all the other guys that, and a couple of them are new. Some of them are going to have to learn. Uh, Jaden being one, and Haddon being another. That with and
Yeah.
even Kelvin, because
Yep.
he's had more experience in some of these areas, and so with all those factors, I just think this secondary group and keeping Dave Merritt, the anchor, the horse that drives the defense is Chris Jones in that defensive line, but that back end group has a chance to be special. And I know it sounds bonkers because Snead's in Tennessee and he was the best corner on the team last year, and that's not a
Didn't make
shot
the
at
top 100
Trent.
list though. Didn't make the
Yeah,
top 100
neither
list.
did Trent, and
Neither
he's
did
a
Trent.
freaking first team
Absolutely
All-Pro.
ridiculous.
The NFL top 100 list is not.
We hold on before we got I did want to talk about that because that is a thing. I feel like there's some Chiefs fans who are a lot more upset than they should be about that. So real quick, just to make it clear for all Chiefs fans and anyone else listening, the top 100 list, it doesn't matter. All right, that does not matter even a little bit. The Pro Bowl
Also does not
doesn't matter. The Pro Bowl doesn't matter. Who cares about it? That is not something. Madden ratings. Who cares? Who cares what a dang Madden rating is? Absolutely nobody cares.
People were all mad
what?
Travis got the 99.
Yeah, people are very up in arms about those three things: Madden ratings, Pro Bowls, top 100 lists. Let me tell you something, Chiefs fans. If you are new here and don't know, all we care about here in Kansas City, all we care about here in Chiefs Kingdom is winning and Super Bowls. And in case you haven't seen, we have done a lot of that in the past couple years. So we don't have to dwell on that kind of stuff. We don't have to dwell on the stupid lists and all these dumb votes and all these dumb things that aren't reflective of things that are real. We know in the heart of our hearts.
The NFL will love to tell you that they get every player in the league to sit down and tell you who their top 100 guys are.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they list 100 players. Yeah.
Way. There's no chance. I don't know
it's completely unbiased.
I don't know that they could get the guys in the league to list their top 25 players with that, spend the time to do that, because these dudes don't care about
They
that
don't.
crap.
They don't. A lot of these guys don't even watch. Like, they don't
So,
even watch the guys.
like I said, and if they do, they vote for their friends, and they have it, and
Yeah,
it's
they
just,
vote for their teammates.
oh,
I mean, yeah.
don't
Aaron
that's
Rodgers was on
all,
the list and he played 4 snaps. It's like
which is
we
supposed to
can't
be
take.
based off of last year's results, which how Joe Burrow's on the list too at that
Yeah,
point.
we cannot take these lists seriously, folks. Chiefs
Just
Kingdom. We just
just
got to
look who
recognize.
look, it's the off season, and they do it just close enough to where it's preseason football that it stirs everybody up and gets everybody talking.
Stirs them
Well,
up.
yeah.
Yep. Get some talking.
When you do that, and that's your whole goal, accuracy and validity is not in the menu. It's just not. So don't
Yep.
worry about it. And also,
Don't
EA
worry.
hasn't made a good video game in 15 years, so the Madden ratings are gonna suck.
They're gonna be bad. Yeah, they are gonna be bad. So just chill out on that, Chiefs Kingdom. Worry about what we worry about. Keep on enjoying training camp. Just enjoy the rest of real football being played with the best offense in the league, the best defense in the league, best head coach, quarterback, tight end, wide receiver room, offensive line, defensive line, you name it.
We're getting a little crazy, but yes.
Kicker. We got the best of them all.
That's not a joke. Harrison's.
He is pretty good. Potential contract coming up. Him and Creed. I broke that news. That was me.
Yeah, okay.
So with that being said, we appreciate you all for joining us on this one. We will be back next week to preview There'll be the first preview of the season. That week 1, that preseason week 1 game against the
Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jacksonville Jaguars, of course, we knew that. Count knew that.
Saturday at
in Jacksonville, in KC.
In Jacksonville, 6 o'clock,
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
In Jacksonville, and I believe it's NFL Network.
Might be a little warm down there, so yeah, it's bundle up. Not really.
I like I said, I do believe it's NFL Network for that game. So
okay, so we'll be back next week to preview that, give you the full
6 o'clock
slate.
NFL Network.
Perfect. So be sure to tune in next week. Thank you all for tuning in this week. Of course, always following along, supporting us. Check out the YouTube if you're only listening to us. If you're hearing our voices and you're not looking at our faces at this current moment in time, I need you to go over to our YouTube and subscribe and like over there.
Also, leave us a 5-star review on if you're listening to it on Spotify,
if you're in the podcast app, though,
Amazon or whatever. Make sure you drop your review and leave your 5-star there. But the YouTube page,
the YouTube page, though, that would be sick.
It's gonna help us drive you guys more content that you guys have been hearing us talk about for like a year and a half now. And we really need your guys' help so we can help you guys in the same kind of fashion.
Exactly. So check us out on there. Follow
we don't
us on.
ask for crap like that all the time. We don't huff for like.
I'm telling you, the YouTube's worth it. The YouTube is worth it.
Help us
it's
out.
Be real worth it during the season.
That way we can keep giving you guys more and more content.
Yep, it's gonna be worth it, especially during the season. It's gonna be some good stuff there. So at Kingdom Says Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and YouTube, and everywhere else you find us. And with that being said, we appreciate you for joining us, and we will see you guys in the next episode of the Kingdom Says.